Hello, good people, and welcome to another video. If this is your first time here, my name is Jazz, and I do these videos based on questions I receive from my Instagram family. And so, if you want to send me a question, you want to chit chat in my DMs, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. If not, that's cool. You can drop a question in the comments. Do whatever it is you want to do. Okay, like, share, and subscribe, and let's just have a good time. I received a question basically about motherhood. How is motherhood treating me? What do I do to manage motherhood, specifically single motherhood? Let's get to it. So, first, I want to start out by saying that I do not actively use the term single mom. Nothing against the term, but I do think that a lot of times it has a lot of negative connotation with it in terms of, it's like that song by Fantasia, I'ma be A B Y. I don't want to have an anthem. I don't want to be a part of the crew. I don't want to be in a crew based on trauma. Oh, but if you identify with it, if that suits you best, that's cool. It's nothing against it. But for me, it just doesn't really apply. I don't look at myself as a baby mom. I was married, so I guess that could be a part of it. Two, the type of mother I am and what I do for my children, I would have been doing regardless of whether their father was around or not. I also have a really decent village, and I say decent because, of course, do I have some complaints? Yeah, just a little bit, but at the same time, I really can't complain. People are there for me. I surround myself with good people. I come from good people, in terms of just basic provisions and things like that. And I'm also just a hard worker and a very organized woman. So I haven't found motherhood to be challenging in the traditional sense. Motherhood has been more so challenging because of my hopes and my ideas for motherhood have not been what I expected them to be. To take it back a little bit, coming up, I did not think I would be a mom, to be honest. Everyone acted like no one would ever want me. And it's just the truth. I grew up being told that no man was ever going to want to deal with me. And, for a variety of reasons, my attitude, my go getter, my whatever the heck people came up with in their minds, they would say those kind of things to me. And it used to really get me down because I really didn't expect to have children. I went to college and I got pregnant right after college, like right after graduation. Unexpectedly, it was very dramatic and all this kind of stuff. I was crying like Viola Davis tears in Fences. I was so distraught about what had just happened. But, I did what I had to do. It wasn't necessarily the easiest thing. I did suffer from postpartum depression with my first daughter because just the surrounding circumstances of her being born was just a lot. I won't go too far into detail, but it was just the support was up and down. I wasn't really sure where my relationship was going. My family was upset. Everybody was upset. All my dreams was over with because I definitely had plans on leaving and going to North Carolina, and I didn't get to do that. So it was a lot to adjust to, a lot really fast. And I did find out about her later in the pregnancy, which could be a whole nother video, but I didn't find out about her until I was 5 months pregnant. So to be honest, my introduction to motherhood felt a little more like someone was dropped off on my doorstep. And I know that's probably like, whoa, how can you say that? But it's not that I don't love my daughter, because I do. But that's just the truth. It was so unexpected, and I had to do so much so fast that, yeah, it felt like somebody rung my doorbell and said, "Hey, you're a mom." So lots of adjustments, but I made it through it. I still pushed and did the best I could considering everything. And so now that I'm at this place, I'm post divorce. I have two children. They are both in school, so I'm not changing diapers. I'm not doing anything crazy like that. But one thing I have done to make motherhood as easy as it can be, because I definitely have my challenges, I have built my schedule and my goals to be not sort of based around my children, but in alignment with my children. And so, what I mean by that is, I have been doing remote work for the last 5 or 6 years. Soon as the pandemic hit and those doors opened up, I took on whatever, and none of it is in the field that I had hoped to be in. If you know me, you know I wanted to be a broadcaster, I wanted to be a voiceover artist, I wanted to do all that kind of stuff. Didn't get to go that route, so I did whatever I could get into. So at this point I do a lot of marketing and communications and things of that nature. So something sort of in the family, but not as fun. I took advantage of that, and that allowed me to live out my personal dream, which was to be a stay-at-home mom. I did. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I actually wanted more children as time went on, and I wanted to be available to them in ways that, my mom wasn't available to me because she couldn't be. She worked and had her own thing, her own life and choices or whatever. So I knew that once I did have children, that's what I wanted to do. And unfortunately, I did not marry a spouse that was able to ever support that goal. So I had to work. So working remotely has allowed me to kind of support that, like I said, be in alignment with my children. So I'm going to be available to my kids. I'm going to be in a position where I can pick them up. I can make it wherever they are. I can step away for doctor's appointments, games, events, whatever. That's my number one priority. So getting the bag and being available to my kids are both my number one priority. So it has to all work in alignment, and I do everything humanly possible to keep that going. Now, I understand that everybody does not have that luxury, depending on what you do for a living, or just depending on maybe where you live or your circumstances. But that is something that for me, I fight really, really hard to do. I will cut back on something to have the job that allows the time and things to be available so I can be the best parent and show up the best way I can be. So that's one. Two, I never make my personal business my children's problem. I'm gonna say that again. I never make my personal business my children's problem. So life circumstances and things that are happening, you and your baby daddy, you and your mama, you and all of them, that's your personal business. It may not be totally under your control, but it is your personal business, and it's not the child's fault. It's not their fault that they were brought up in this particular circumstance in this particular way. And so, as much as I admittedly do regret ever meeting my children's father, there's no secret about that. However, that is not my children's problem. So I don't make them feel that. As much as he wants to see them, he can. If he can't, he can't. But I don't make the stress of what he can or cannot do or will and won't do based on my personal preferences and what I need their problem. I just don't. And if that means you got to cry on the pillow, that means you need to go take a walk, if that means you need to go lock yourself in the bathroom after you put them to bed, so be it. That's what I do. And so it makes it not as long as I make it about what they need in terms of raising them, I'm good. you know and I'm not saying neglect yourself by all means, because I don't neglect myself. My third point would be to bring in the routines so that you don't neglect yourself, right? That's how I don't feel as overwhelmed my kids. Not saying I don't have overwhelmed days, but it's not a consistent overwhelmed feeling because my routines are built in a way that allows me to have time blocks for myself, allows me to get work done, allows me to support them, and rinse, recycle, and repeat. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just that's the thing. Everything has a place. And if it matters to you, because I feel like somebody will ask, because it's been asked before, I am a Virgo. I am a Virgo. That might mean something to somebody. So, organized, as they say. That's what I do. Around here, my kids are in bed by 8:30 every night. Every night. Unless we go to some special event. And even then, I have my backup routine plan for that to make sure it still runs smooth. But they're in bed every night at 8:30. We have rules in here. I create a culture in here called space and respect for each other's space and time. So even with each other, they know that when they get tired of playing with each other, they both have to respect the other person saying, "Hey, I need a break." And I've taught them to respect me saying, "I need a break." When I feed them, get them everything they need, I ask everybody good. I say, "Hey, I'm putting the timer on. Mommy needs 30 minutes. Mommy needs an hour." You know what I'm saying? And we do that for each other. I'll ask them, "Hey, do you need 30 minutes? Do you need to cry? Do you need to take a nap?" Nap time around here is just as long as it don't go past 3:30 p.m. You're allowed to take a nap around here. I build things in so that there's a respect on both ends, because I think a lot of people get overwhelmed with parenting because they let their children run the house. And not in like a disrespectful way, because kids will be kids, but because kids will be kids, it's up to you to instill the things in them so that way they have a respect for you, their space, your space, and how things actually work. Okay, so like I don't punish with cleaning and chores. No, chores are just a part of life. We help each other around here. Do you need help cleaning your room? You can help someone else, but at the same time, if you made a huge mess, you have to be committed to that mess. Again, just a lot of routines and expectations. And so even when it's just me by myself in here, which it is, um I don't feel like I'm completely stressed. I'm making this video right now and they're in there chilling. They're in there talking to each other, playing with each other. Probably about to have a snack soon. Like I can tell them, hey, I'm about to go make a video. And they're like, all right. But it takes a lot of work to get to that place. Okay. So, and the people that are in my village, when they want to see them or if they can, I ask. If the answer is yes, great. If the answer is no, then it's no. I put things in place. Things are organized around here. We have schedules, we have downtime. And I know for some people, you got type B moms and type C, D, EFG moms, and that's cool. But it does, like anything, have its consequences. I mean, even me being as organized as I am, some people will say, like, oh, your kids are a little too strict or they're a little too, hey, do what works for you. But you asked me how motherhood works for me. And so I guess that's it, really. I mean, I'm organized. I've reached a place of acceptance about what it is. And when I do have an off day, I take that space for myself, even if it looks like putting them to bed a little bit early. Maybe they go to bed at 7:45 today because I'm so stressed that I need the time to close my eyes. I need the time to go ahead and take a shower or whatever the case is. Like, don't neglect yourself. Just because you're a single parent, by yourself, doesn't mean you're not human, doesn't mean that you can't look out for you and still be a good mom. Now, if you're in a place where you just don't want to be a mother, that's another conversation. Because I think that's what ends up happening a lot of times. A lot of moms just don't want to be a mother. So there are no solutions, right? It's just, this pisses me off. I can't wait for them to grow up. I can't wait for them to be 18. I can't wait for them to get out of here. And that is like the worst feeling. And trust me, even if you haven't said it to your kids, they feel it. They feel it. I can't even begin to explain to you how much I felt that way, growing up, and I even heard it sometimes. And I never want to make my personal business, my personal decisions, my kids' problem. Never. They don't know anything in here about a light bill. They don't know anything in here about what the food bill is and stuff like that. Now, if I will tell them if I don't have the money for something, but I don't make it their problem as far as what I need to do in here to keep things rolling. And that is so important. Let children be children and you be the adult. Period. Love on them. And I'm telling you, they're going to love you back. I'm always in shock and awe, honestly, that my kids genuinely like me. I never thought that kids wanted to spend time with their parents. Like, I took my daughter out one day and when I tell you, she was just like, I'm just so happy to be here with you. And I was just like, oh my God. And then when we came home, like, she was like, oh, can I help you? She saw me cleaning up and she was folding the socks and I was doing this. And the brother came home and he took out I was just like, what? When I was a kid, I just wanted to stay in my room and pray to God. Nobody called my name. Like, so it's about the culture and the effort you put in. As long as you keep dwelling on the fact that you are by yourself, you're going to feel even more so by yourself. But if you take the time to empower yourself, put the right tools and schedules and things in place, you'd be surprised. And I mean, and these years go by fast. Now, if you're one of these women that keep on having babies, now you got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 kids, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I would have to really think about how I would address that as far as trying to help you, because you also don't want to be in a place where you bite off more than you could chew, right? But in general, though, it's as hard as you make it. No day is perfect. Kids or no kids, job or no job, husband or no husband. It's a lot of married single moms. So don't, Don't feel like because the next lady got a husband, that means she got help. I get more help from my kid's father now that we divorced than I ever did with him living in this house. So you don't know. But it's your journey. So figure it out, put your big girl panties on. You can do it. And if you ever want to chat and you need some help, you want to work through some things, talk through some things, hit me up. I mean, I ain't no licensed professional or nothing, but the point is you can do it. You can do it. And if you don't have the right people around you, then that's a part of your motherhood journey. Prioritizing the environment. So I hope that was helpful. Like, share, and subscribe if you made it this far. And I'll see you in the next video.